Hi, I'm Christy Wilhelmi of Gardenerd. Today I want to talk to you about planting tomatoes because we had an 80-degree day here in Southern California at Gardenerd headquarters, and so we kind of skip past all the cool season stuff, which we plant in fall, and go straight to the hot and warm season stuff now. So there are a few things that you should know before planting your tomato plants, and I want to review that with you today. I did a video back in 2014 that was a basic planting tomato video, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit on some items today. First up, let's talk about bed prep. Once you're ready to plant your tomatoes, you got to prep your soil because tomatoes are heavy feeders, and that means they make a fruit, and so they need a lot of food and something to draw on from the soil they're going to be in. So it's a really good idea to make sure your soil is prepped. And what I do to prep my soil is I put down at least an inch of compost, some worm castings, and some organic veggie fertilizer, scratch it all into the surface, couple of inches, water it well, and then leave it for maybe a week if you can before planting. Then it's a good idea, next up, to install your cages. Now I know this seems a little bit backwards, but I've seen way too many people try and install their tomato cages after they've planted their tomatoes, and they end up mangling the tomato plants because the cages won't go into the soil. Now, if you've done your soil prep right, it should be pretty friable and those stakes may go right in, but they may not. So I like to put my cages in place beforehand so I don't mess up my beautiful tomatoes that I worked so hard growing. Then I line up my irrigation, and now we're ready to plant. Now let's talk a minute about the tomato plants themselves. I have here a few, there's a couple that I grew and a couple that I got from the nursery. The likelihood of there being more than one stem in each pot is maybe a 50% chance. This one has one stem, so I'm good to go. But this one, I grew from seed, and so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 tomatoes in here. I want to cut it back so that I only have the one I want to keep, and the rest are going to go because I'm planting really close together here, my own preference. I use square foot gardening planting methods, and so I'm going to take my shears and cut down everything but the one I'm going to keep. Just cut it down to soil level and choose. These are both beautiful, but I'm going to pick one, and I'm going with the larger stem. Now we're ready to plant. Once you've trimmed down all of your tomatoes to just one, I've got like 6 in here. I had to seed twice because they didn't sprout the first time. But once you get down to the one you want, I think this guy is the happiest. Ta-da! Then you're going to dig your hole and plant them. So tomatoes are unique in that they will generate roots anywhere along the stem that is below ground. So remove any branchings that are going to touch the soil and plant them deeper than you would deeper than the soil level. I like to dig a deep hole. There are some roots that I left in here from the previous season. That is fine. The mycorrhizae are working on those. All the colonized microbes around it are working on them. I'm just digging as deep as I can. Once I've dug the hole, I'm going to throw in 2 things. One, just a slight, scant handful of Epsom salts. Why Epsom salts, you ask? Well, Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate, and they assist in the uptake of calcium. The likelihood of your soil not having enough calcium is usually pretty low. It's just that it's not available to plants, and so Epsom salts assist with making the calcium that's already in your soil bioavailable to the plant. So I throw in a little handful of that, and then some organic veggie fertilizer in each planting hole. And then you want to mix it in really, really well, because we don't want the roots to touch either the fertilizer or the Epsom salts directly. Once that's nicely mixed in, I'm gonna take the plant marker out and set it somewhere where I won't bury it by accident. You're gonna squeeze the pot, flip it out into your hand, and take a look at the roots. See if they're circling. Usually, it's a good idea to place the root ball in your hands and give it a little rip. You want to pop those roots open so they stop circling and they start to look for a new direction once they get in the ground. This is important. That step is super important. And then we're going to put this in the ground and backfill. And one of the things I don't do is compress the soil. Just backfill, and then when you water it, that will do the compression for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, let's talk about watering. Once you're done planting your tomatoes, mix a couple tablespoons to an ounce of kelp emulsion in a watering can and soil drench everything. Even the leaves, that's fine too, because they really love kelp. That will help ease transplant shock, which tomatoes tend to do. You may also notice, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm planting at the end of the day, which is my favorite time to plant, rather than planting in the morning so that plants newly installed have to endure the full day of sunlight. When you plant them in the afternoon, after the sun has gone down, these plants will get the whole evening nice cool temperatures to get settled in, establish themselves, and feel like they're really belong. They're not going to be so stressed out. So consider planting your stuff in the afternoon if you don't already. So those are my tips for growing tomatoes this season. For more information on growing your own food, go to gardenerd.com and consider becoming a Patreon subscriber to support all the free stuff that we do here at Gardenerd. You'll find information and tips like this, including how to build this here cage, in Gardening for Geeks. And don't forget to check out my new book, Grow Your Own Mini Fruit Garden. Happy gardening.